are with Chef Williams, and he is going to provide 4 different great Italian recipes. All I can say is stazzo delizioso.
How we doing, everybody? This is Everybody Eats with the Mandel Group. I'll be your chef today, Eric Williams. And I just want you guys to know that while we're here eating at the Mandel, no matter your background, no matter what you're into, no matter what's going on in your life, you can always come and enjoy a great meal here at the Mandel table. So we're gonna start off today with making a little gnocchi. We're gonna do it the easy way today for you guys. We're gonna get you started with the more forgiving recipe using our ricotta cheese here. In advance, when you do this, I've already done this step, but you want to kind of get as much whey out of that cheese as you can. The less moisture, the lighter and fluffier your gnocchi is going to be. So what you do is you'll take this cheese, you'll put it in a cheesecloth over a colander or something, over a bowl, something to weigh it down, and you'll sit it just kind of in the bowl like that and let as much whey of it fall out as it can. You want to do that for about 8 hours, so just throw it in the fridge, let it hang out for a while before you do your gnocchi. You can do this in advance. Trust me, you won't regret the benefits that you get with doing that. So first we're going to start with our ricotta cheese, about 15 ounces of it, a little bit less than a pound. We're going to get that in our bowl. We're going to use 2 eggs, 1 whole egg. And we're going to just use 1 egg yolk. The egg whites fall. I don't need those. Yeah, as much of that out of there as you can. Perfect. Put that in there. Once we're done with our eggs, we're gonna get some Romano cheese. About 1 ounce of that. Freshly grated into your ricotta and eggs. Romano cheese is really funky. It gives a nice sharp flavor to the gnocchi. So even if you use a really simple sauce, it'll have that sharpness behind the gnocchi itself to add the extra flavors, extra layers of flavor for you. We're gonna go around with our Parmesan. About 1 ounce of Parmesan as well. And it's really just kind of like a large, medium, I'll say medium, heap of cheese on top of that ricotta. All that love in there. Once you got that done, I'm gonna get about a teaspoon of salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. I want to say not too much, just enough to give it that flavor. My personal preference, I like to use a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg. Usually plays really well with most Italian dishes, so I'm gonna be brave and just get a little bit of that in there. That's perfect. Set that aside. You wanna use a metal whisk, make things a lot easier on you. Break up those yolks a little bit. And we're gonna make this nice and smooth. Once that's all emulsified really well together, set our spatula aside. We're gonna go in with some all-purpose flour. We're gonna use about 1.5 cups. This does vary depending on how much of that moisture you get out of the cottage cheese. You may need a little bit more flour just to get it the way you want it. We're going to shoot to get this to not stick to our hands. So we're gonna add a little bit more if we need to, so that it doesn't stick to our hands anymore. You want to use sifted flour. Reason being, you will have a lot less trouble getting the clumps out of your gnocchi as you're kneading it. We're gonna start with just a cup and add more as we go. Set that aside. And we're gonna just fold this over. Try to get this into one cohesive mass. And then we can start to use our hands once we get this to be a little less sticky. Tie all these ingredients together. Still a little sticky, so we're gonna add the other half cup. Now that that's coming together, we're gonna get our hands in there. Oh, that happened. I need that. And we're gonna lightly flour our work surface so we can get this on there. Now, when you're kneading, it's the opposite of what you would do with pizza dough. So pizza and breads and things like that, some people tend not to knead enough, but with pasta and gnocchi, you want to knead it as little as possible. The more you knead, the tougher it's going to become. So you want to knead it just until it's no longer sticking to your fingers and it's got just enough flour in there. You don't want to start the gluten process, get it too far into the gluten process. This is the fun part about gnocchi. Get a little messy, but man, it tastes good when you're done. Get all that ingredient, want to get all of this in here. If it's still sticking like it is now, we're gonna add just a little more flour. We're gonna get some on our fingers. Kind of roll all that excess off of your fingers. Get all of that into your gnocchi. Don't worry, it's all easy to clean up. Too aggressive with it. Like I said, you don't want it to be tough when you're done. So as you can see, it's starting to look a little bit solid, which means we're almost there. Keep folding that over. also don't want your gnocchi to be dry. So be careful when you're adding flour. Don't add too much at a time. You see I'm doing a tiny bit here, tiny bit there. And if this is your first time making gnocchi, it doesn't always come together this easy your first time. It doesn't always come together this quickly, so don't think you're doing it wrong. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of extra love to get it to where you want it to be. And that's perfect where we are at right now. I'm gonna make that into a pretty little ball, pack that together. Our gnocchi is ready to roll. First thing, I'm gonna get all this extra stuff off my hands. Alrighty, so once you get the excess dough and stuff off your hand, you wanna clean that off, get your work area a little bit situated. You wanna grab you a sheet pan, dust it with some flour. That's where your finished gnocchi product is gonna go. Once we get those cut up into tiny little bite-sized pockets of love. So with your big ball of mass here, we're gonna cut this down, make it a little bit easier to work with. It might be easy to dust your knife a little bit so it doesn't get stuck in there. Set that aside. Now you pretty much just roll it up. You throw a little bit of flour down. Both hands in there. You want to start from the middle, press down, and roll outwards and try and get this into a tiny little line. Once we get this into a tiny little line, we're going to cut it up. So wherever you see like a lump anywhere in there, you want to press down a little bit more firm in that area. Just to spread that out. You don't want to use too much flour because it will make it really hard to roll. So try and just like earlier, you want to do this in small amounts. It's almost like we're making pretzels. Perfect. That's coming out. Little breakage here, we're going to separate those. Alright, that's looking good. So now we've got it a decent size. Now you can make your gnocchi as big or as little as you like, whichever you prefer. I like mine a little bit more easy to chew, fulfilling. So you want to get these into tiny little, you can see that, tiny little bite sizes. So we're going to throw these on our dusted sheet tray so that they do not stick to each other. Rinse and repeat until you have as many little balls of love that you would like. Okay, now once you've got all your gnocchis made in the tiny little bite-sized pieces, you can, if you choose to, cook them just like this. They'll taste perfectly fine. They'll be awesome. If you want them to go with a sort of sauce, a creamy sauce, a butter sauce, or anything like that, you want to make it have the ability to grab and catch that sauce. So here we've got our gnocchi board. We're gonna take this and we're gonna make some cool designs in our gnocchi. That way, all the little designs that you make in these little pockets, they're gonna catch the sauce for you, hold on to it a little bit better, give it a little bit more bite when you put that with something. So best way to do that, wrap that around this little wooden thing. And they don't have to be perfect, but pick whichever design you like. I like the little lines. And we're just gonna press that down on that stick and roll. And when you're done, you've got the lines and the ridges, if you can see, as well as that little pocket on the inside. and that'll hold the sauce in there for you. So we're gonna bang out a couple of these. Alrighty, so once you get your gnocchis all rolled out, get those placed on your pan here. We're gonna cook them. Start by boiling. We're gonna get our hot pan boiling with our water. We're gonna salt it, get a little bit of flavor in there. Once you get the gnocchis in there, they really don't take that long to cook, especially from being fresh. You'll know that they are done once they start floating to the top. We're gonna save those little guys out of there with this. And from our water, we're gonna go straight into our pan. We're gonna pan sear with a little bit of oil, get it a little bit crispy on the outsides, and then we're gonna make a simple Alfredo sauce to go with it, just so you guys can get a taste of that gnocchi you just made. So now that our water is boiling and salted, we're gonna go and we're gonna get some gnocchis in there, start the cooking process. That's enough. I'm gonna drop those in. And they take maybe 3 minutes or so to cook. While those are cooking, we're gonna get this pan hot. We're gonna get a little bit of oil in our pan. Alrighty, so these beautiful gnocchi are floating to the top now. We're gonna sift those out of there. Let them drain for a second, because our pan with oil is gonna be really hot. You don't want it to pop or spark or create any fires for you, so you definitely wanna drain as much of that water off there as you can. Save your pasta water. It's really starchy, full of flavor, and it will help with our sauce in just a second. So get a nice drain on there. We're gonna go straight into our, we're gonna let those cook for just a bit until they get a little bit of crispy on one side. Once that happens, we're gonna start building our sauce. With our sauce today, it's gonna be very simple, heavy cream based Alfredo sauce. We're gonna leave it with fresh shredded Parmesan cheese, some salt, some pepper, and we're gonna top it all off with some freshly sliced basil. Let that sit. As you can see, it's starting to brown a little bit here on one side, so I'm gonna let it hang out until it gets a deep, deep brown on one side, and then we're gonna start to add the rest of our ingredients. Alrighty, so we're gonna shake these up, try and get even browning on both sides so they don't all flip over when you shake your pan. Get in there with the little, your tongue, and kind of give them a little hand. We'll toss over there. Over there. Alrighty. Now that we've got our brown and our gnocchi, start the sauce. We're gonna go with about 4 ounces of heavy whipping cream. Some salt and pepper. Fire down just a little bit so that heavy cream doesn't boil over. Then we're going to go right into our Parmesan cheese. You can do about 1 hefty mound of it, or about 3 ounces. You can always stop, give it a good stir, see how thick it is, and then add a little bit more to your taste. I'm a really cheesy guy, so I like to add a lot of cheese. When I'm done with this, I'm probably gonna add a little bit more cheese. And when we plate it up, I'm definitely gonna add a little bit more cheese. So it's gonna be a very cheesy dish for me. But whatever you prefer. So that cheese is melting a lot faster in there because it's freshly grated. It's gonna help your sauce be smoother, creamier. Stir. Those get married together. And if your sauce looks a little bit gloopy, that's when you want to add a tiny bit of that pasta water in there. Very, very tiny bit. I mean, like, just shake your spoon in there a little bit. Get a real spoon. Just a little bit. How that sauce comes together. Sauce is nice. I'm gonna add some more cheese. Perfect. Okay, so once your sauce is the consistency you want, you can go ahead and pull that off the heat. And we're gonna plate that up. Awesome. Alrighty, so our sauce is emulsified and cheesy. Our gnocchis are crispy and delicious. Plate this up. And sauce. Then we're gonna add some fresh basil here. And of course, some Parmesan cheese. Personally, I like a little bit more black pepper. And there you have it. Simple, fresh, delicious ricotta cheese gnocchi, simple alfredo sauce. With that, thanks for joining us at Everybody Eats with the Mandel Group. Next episode, we'll be making some carbonara sauce to go with that delicious gnocchi. Can't wait for you guys to try it.